Please help me welcome to the stage Mr. Aaron Ludin.
Wow. Who's ready for a pretty fired up event? Make some noise. Pretty excited, honored, thrilled, thankful to be here with you guys today. When I was preparing this message, I thought about it. Can everyone hear me okay, by the way, in the back of the room? Perfect. So when I was thinking about it, preparing this message, I realized that right now I get a chance to speak to the best room of sales reps we've ever assembled in the history of Vector Marketing Company. So give yourselves a quick round of applause for that when you realize this is the best room we've ever had, right? And tonight we're going to talk about breakthroughs, right? We're going to talk about breakthroughs. Now everyone, I know I'm speaking to all different people in this room right now, right? I know some of you are brand new, and this is your first event. And I've been in those chairs too. Remember 6 years ago, sitting in the exact same event at Dallas, not knowing what to think, where I fit in the company, right? And I remember seeing all these people that had done crazy things, right? And I just want you to know that you're going to see a lot of crazy stuff this weekend. And I remember being at the event, and not only had I not been to an event before, but I was in the elevator, and people were going around, they're playing that career sales game, right? Hey, what are you at in sales? What are you at in sales? It was like 15, 20, I was like 50, and some girl was like 250, and I was like, she's lying. I didn't even believe her, right? So I know how it feels to be new. And some of you, you've been around for a little while. You might be an AM, an FSM, maybe this isn't your first rodeo, you've been to a couple events, might be your first RDC, and I've been there too. And a breakthrough for you might just mean, how do you start breaking some records, or how do you start winning some scholarships? How do you get more consistent? Those of you that are new, your breakthrough might just be, how do you get to your next promotion, right? How do you start selling sets consistently? How do you raise your average order? And I know when I speak to some of you in the room, you've been here for a while, right? Some of you, you've been to these events, and you've been to so many that the messages start to blend together, right? You hear something, you're like, yeah, I've heard this before, right? And you start to tune it out. But raise your hand if you'd agree that you're here right now because you want to leave with at least one thing that can take your life and your business to the next level. Raise your hand and say, I. Everybody wants to leave with that, whether you're brand new or whether you've been here for a while. And so, I know for some of you that have been to a lot of conferences, you've had that moment where you're listening to a message and you think, I've heard this before. But my challenge to you, because the truth is that if you tune out for one moment, you might just miss that one thing this weekend that you came all the way to Detroit to find. You might miss the one quote, the one phrase, the one word that would have helped you take your business to the next level. And if you've been around for a while, you can probably even relate to a moment where you can think back to an event, a conference, a talk, where you heard one thing that took your business to the next level. Who here's had that moment? Raise your hand and say, I. So when's your next moment going to be? When's your next breakthrough? If you've already had a breakthrough in this business, or if you haven't, why not let this weekend, this event, be that moment where you can look back and say, that's where I broke through. Breakthroughs come when you let them. You may want to write that down. Breakthroughs come when what? When you let them. See, for me, the reason I'm speaking to you today is because 6 years ago, at this exact same event, I made my big breakthrough. I had just turned 18 a week or two before. I lied about being in college to come to this conference, all right? I was in high school. I graduated like a week or two after the event. And I remember being at the event and seeing all sorts of crazy things. People, 100K high school students, and people that had 30K fast starts, and people that sold a couple $100,000 in a year, and my mind was blown, right? And I was sitting in those chairs. And so I know how you feel. If you're at this event and only a couple people know your name, I know how you feel. And I remember sitting in those chairs and I made 2 decisions 6 years ago. I set 2 goals. The first was to become the winningest, if that's a word, All-American scholarship winner in the history of the company. I wanted to win the most scholarships in the history of the company. And the second was to deliver a message, general session at RDC, that I could pass on and impact people the way I was impacted at RDC 6 years before. And so I've made a lot of mistakes. I've missed goals. I've had failure. I've fallen flat on my face. I've pissed people off. I've made bad decisions, but I'm here right now, 6 years later, having accomplished those 2 goals. And you're here too. You're here too, right? Whatever obstacles you overcame to get here this weekend, whether it was hard to make it or whether it was just hard to justify making it because your time is so dang valuable, right? You made it here. So what decisions are you going to make this weekend that will take your life to the next level? I'm not just speaking to those of you that are new. I'm not just speaking to those of you that have been around for a little while. I'm speaking to everyone in this room. If you make the decision to, this weekend, you'll completely change your life. So let me ask you guys a question. Are you willing to learn? Who's willing to learn this weekend? I like that, right? I want to ask you guys 2 questions I believe will help give you perspective. All right, 2 questions. The first question is, what's one thing that if you did not accomplish this year, you would be completely disappointed with yourself? Write that number down. It should be a number, a minimum. One thing you'd be completely disappointed with yourself if you didn't accomplish. Write that down. And the second question, if you knew you could not fail, no matter what happened, what would you go for? If you knew you could not fail, what would you go for? Write that number down too. If you knew no matter what you could not fail, what would you be going for this summer or this year? See, between those 2 numbers, there should be a gap. How many of you raise your hand if that gap represents at least $1,000 in income? Raise your hand. How many of you is at least $5,000 in income? Anyone $10,000? How many of you keep your hands up if you'd agree that whatever the gap is for you, it represents a pretty significant change in your life? Yes or yes? Yes. And so that gap, when you think about what does that gap represent, it represents a lot of things. It represents fear, doubt, challenges, obstacles, no-shows, cancellations, no sales, dead phone batteries, dead people in your family, broken up relationships, broken down cars, right? It represents anything that could come in your way this summer. But what that gap can be bridged with is one word. And Scott talked about it earlier. And that word is vision. Vision. Vision is the art of seeing the invisible. And so the purpose of this message is to help you see the invisible for yourself. That's the whole purpose of this conference. I came to this conference 6 years ago and saw people that have done amazing things. And you're going to have that vision too. You're going to see people that have done things way beyond what I've ever even dreamed of selling. Right? I'm lucky to be on this stage. But the biggest thing for you to take from the event is to notice that those people are just like you. The people up on this stage are or were just like you. Your ability to sell is much more an issue of who you are being than what you know. It's much more an issue of who you're being than what you know. See, I believe that selling, it's 80% psychology, 20% skill. And trust me, you're going to get plenty of that 20% here this weekend. But 80% of it is determining where you're at right now in the business. So whether you're selling a couple thousand a week, tens of thousands a week, hundreds of thousands a year, it doesn't matter. Where you are right now, there is a next level for you, right? And the truth is, if you start to think differently, you'll make it to that next level. See, the extent to which your thinking grows, your business will grow automatically. But until then, wherever you are, whether you're at the very bottom or the very top, until your thinking changes, nothing else will. So even if you're getting amazing results, your thinking has to change to get you to that even more amazing level. Does that make sense? Yes or yes? And so I'm going to talk about, and we're going to talk about 4 things this evening. How many things? 4 questions that you can ask yourself that will help you think differently and help you make a breakthrough. It's hot up here, right? The first question to ask yourself is, how do you view selling? How do you view what? How do you view selling? See, I believe that selling is an energy sport. You may want to write this down. Sales requires energy. Sales requires what? Energy. See, the person with the most energy, they always win. They always win. If you have enough energy to get on that next phone call, that next appointment, you always do what? You always win. Selling is an energy sport, right? If you realize that you're a manager of energy, you learn to manage your energy each day, then by the end of the day, you'll win the day, right? It doesn't matter if there's a no sale, a no show, a cancellation. If you've got enough what? Energy, things go well. Does that make sense? But here's another question. How do you view selling? How do you view selling? Think about this. We'll do a quick word association. I'm going to say a word. I want you to just yell out the first word that comes to mind. You guys ready? Yeah. Salesman. I hear some bad stuff out there. Right? If when I say the word salesman, the first thing that comes to mind is some negative perception of a salesperson, think about it. Most people, when they sell or don't sell, they're doing it because they fight to maintain an identity. People's behaviors are because they're fighting to maintain an identity. Where you are right now, you're fighting to maintain an identity. And so when you think about it, if you just said pushy, sleazy, tricky, anything like that, right? Something bad about salespeople, what's the easiest way to not live into that negative perception? To give yourself a reason or a story or an excuse or an identity that lets you not sell. Some of you, your identity you took on is that you're an AM, and that's why you don't sell so much. You run interviews, you take PDI, so you only sell X amount. Or I'm only so old, I only sell X amount because I'm whatever age. Well, I don't have a car, so that's why I only sell this. Others, you're high flyers because that's your identity, right? Evelyn Comer will always be on the sales report because her identity is a high flyer, and that's the story that she's telling herself, right? And some of you out there that have been to a bunch of these events, your identity, you want to stay mediocre. You know how I know? Because the mediocre people, they don't want to be left off the report. They don't want to be left behind, but they don't want to do enough to stand out. So you fight to maintain that identity of mediocre. And you know who those people are because they stay in the middle even when the numbers raise up every year. Does that make sense? So what identity are you fighting to maintain right now in this business? How do you view selling? See, my story that I kept telling myself was that I always wanted to be seen as a student. I didn't want to be some professional, some role model. I wanted to be more of an example of the standard I believe college students should have in this business. I don't think anyone out there isn't capable of selling $1,000 or $2,000 a week every week. And so I always fought to maintain the identity of being a college student. I acted less mature. I made bad decisions. I did things so you didn't forget that I was only so old, right? But at some point, you got to take on your next level identity, right? Whatever that next version of you is, why not, instead of projecting this future image of yourself into the future, why not become them today? Whoever you picture yourself becoming, start being them this weekend at this event. What stories you tell yourself? The thing I learned was I judge myself by my motives, and others judge me by my actions. I judge myself by my intentions. Others judge me by my actions. The second question to ask yourself is, how do you view yourself? How do you view yourself? Do you feel the world's treating you well right now? Your answer to that question says everything. Because if you think the world's treating you crappy, you're probably getting pretty crappy results. If you think the world's treating you decent, you're probably getting a little bit less crappy results, right? If you think the world's treating you good, you're probably just getting fair results. And if I ask you how the world's treating you, say it's treating me great. You're probably just getting good results, right? Most of you are positive. That's why you're here. You're probably operating that level of, oh, the world's treating me great. I'm getting good results. But if you take it up a notch to that level of outstanding, you get all the results, all the rewards, and outstanding results. Who here wants some outstanding results? Let me hear you make some noise. See, every great achievement follows a moment when an individual allowed a perception of themselves to precede reality. John Berghoff said at this event 6 years ago, and it blew my mind. Every great achievement that's ever occurred followed a moment when an individual, like yourself, allowed their perception of themselves to precede reality. So when you're here this weekend and you see something you want to accomplish, don't wait for reality to prove you can do it. Do it this summer. Don't wait for reality, because you're putting everything in someone else's hands then, right? Raise your hand if you've ever sold $1,000 in a week. You can win an All-American if you're in school. How many of you have sold $2,000 a week? Raise your hand. You should be shipping $100,000 this year. Keep your hands up if you've ever had a $4,000 week. Where's your $200,000 a year? How about those of you with $10,000 weeks in the past? Raise your hand. Where's your $500,000 a year, guys? Those of you that are shipping $20,000 in a week you actually work, you're $1 million shipper in hiding. Where's your $1 million year? Because when you really think about it, the stories you tell yourself determine your standards. And I believe that most of you are better than you think. See, if you shipped $300,000 or $400,000 last year, let me ask you a question. Are you really only 3 or 4 times better than the $100,000 version of yourself in the past? Because I don't think so. I think you're better than that. If you change your stories, you'll transform your life. So what stories are you telling yourself right now? And what story could you be telling yourself? Who do you see yourself as in the business today? And who do you see yourself becoming? No, third question to ask yourself, third question is, how do you view your time? See, some of us, we get a good attitude, we get fired up, we start doing stuff, but anyone ever feel like you've never had enough time? Anyone ever feel like you don't have enough time? Anyone ever had that? We're just not enough time in the day. You're going along, you're motivated, but you just don't have enough time. I remember learning at this conference that time is an investment, and how you view your time decides whether it's going to work for or against you. Time's an investment. So if you keep asking yourself throughout the day, each and every day of this summer, how am I investing my time right now? And is this the best investment of my time right now? You'll start to make better decisions, right? If there's one thing I could share with you about time, it is this. Your day and your life are the exact same thing. Your day and your life are the same what? And let me explain. If every year you had a goal for the year and you hit your goal, you'd hit your goal over time, right? If you broke down your annual goal into monthly goals, and each month you hit your goal for that month, then you hit your goal for the year, right? And if you broke down your monthly goal to weekly goals, and each week you hit your goal for that week, you'd hit your monthly goal and you'd hit your annual goal, right? And if you just broke that down to daily goals, and each day you just did the bare minimum to hit your goal for the day, then you'd hit your goal for the week, hit your goal for the month, hit your goal for the year, and hit your goal for your life. So when you really think about it, your day and your life are the same thing. You want to know how to get to the next level? Make calls today. Whatever it is you want in your life, it's got to start today, because a day and your life are the same thing. So if you need to make phone calls, if you need to exercise, if you need to change your habits, change them today. What's one activity you must do daily to make your next breakthrough? Jot it down. What's one activity you must do daily to make your next breakthrough? I'll give you a hint. It probably involves a phone. Right? Your day and your life are the exact same thing. The fourth thing is how you view your challenges. How you view your challenges. See, I know some of us, you've been going along, right? And you're motivated, and you're fired up, and you have the right attitude, and you're managing your time well, and you're going out, and you're doing stuff, and then what happens? Adversity hits, right? You get hit with a challenge, and it sets you back a bit. Anyone ever been there? Raise your hand and say, I. See, what I hope everyone could get out of this, if you've already started tuning me out, catch this part, okay? The goal is never to become bigger than your challenge, or the goal is never to avoid your challenges, right? The goal is not to try to avoid them or to hope you don't have them, right? I got challenges too. The top people, they have more challenges. You think demotivation doesn't hit when I want to get on the phones? No, of course it hits. It hits everybody, right? Like adversity, challenges, obstacles, they stay out of my way. They only hit the other reps, right? No, everybody gets hit with challenges. But the difference is to really make it to the next level, you want to grow yourself bigger than your challenges. See, think about this. If you're a level 2 person and you get a level 5 challenge, is it a big challenge or small challenge? Pretty big challenge, right? Huge challenge. Leaves you paralyzed. But if you're a level 8 person and you get a level 5 challenge, is that a big challenge or a small challenge? Small challenge. And if you grow yourself all the way to a level 10 person and you get a level 5 challenge, is it a big challenge or small challenge? It's no challenge. Your brain doesn't even see it as a challenge because you've grown yourself so big, it's not a challenge. You think people like Curtis care when somebody hangs up the phone on them? No. He sold over 400 grand last year, right? No challenge. You're driving along, right? You're driving along, you're on the highway, and all of a sudden, a bug flies out of nowhere and slams into your windshield. Do you just pull over, stop the car, freak out, wonder what to do next? No. You just keep driving because it's no challenge. So realize this. It's never about the size of your problems. It's always about the size of you. It's never about the size of your problems. It's always about the size of who? Of you. Because if you grow yourself bigger than your challenges, then your challenges don't matter. Next time you get hit with a challenge this summer, take it as a test from the universe. Like, that's all you got? Right? That's all you've got? Some lady not showing up for a demo? That's it? Somebody telling me they don't want to see me? That's it? Somebody hanging up a phone? That's it? Not buying knives? That sucks more for them than it does for me, right? They would have loved Cutco. So how you view your challenges will determine whether or not you make breakthroughs. So the path to the next level, it appears when you choose to see things differently. And I really believe wherever you are right now, if you choose to see things differently, you'll make it to that next level. Within every challenge is a seed of opportunity. You may want to jot that down. Within every challenge is a seed of opportunity. But the question is, whether or not you see that opportunity within your challenge, right? Let me tell you a story of one of my best and worst days on the job, okay? Many of you won't even believe this story. There's a mantra I like to tell myself. It's really simple. It's playing always beats sitting on the bench. You guys want to say it with me real fast? Playing always beats sitting on the bench, right? Who would agree with that? Raise your hand. So I had 7 appointments set up for the day. It's SC2. I'm not good with these things, guys, sorry. SC2. And it's 7 a.m. when my first appointment calls me to cancel. I'm like, dang, that's early to cancel on me, right? And so I get on the phones and I jam hard because I tell myself playing always beats sitting on the bench. And I get an immediate and I drive out there, I get all fired up, I go to do my demo, and I have a no sale. I got 6 more for the day. I'm most fired up about the last one. And so I go to the next demo. I'm like, who cares? 6 more, right? I'm fired up. I'm ready to go win the day. And I knock on the door. I'm all fired up. And guess who's there? Nobody. Nobody shows up. I get a call from my 3rd appointment calling to cancel. And I get on the phones and I jam and I jam and I jam. And I finally get an immediate. And I drive all the way out there. I'm like, heck yeah, I'm winning the day, right? Because playing always beats what? Sitting on the bench. And so I go to the immediate, do the most fired up demo I can, tell them all about what Cutco rocks, and they do not care because they don't buy anything, okay? But playing always beats what? Sitting on the bench. So I go to the next demo, and I'm all fired up. I got 3 more today, and I'm fired up this last one. Each time something goes wrong, instead of getting upset, instead of looking at the challenge, I look at the opportunity for this last demo to just get bigger. I just kept saying, this last one's getting bigger, right? Law of averages, right? And so I go to my next demo, knock on the door, knock, 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 and nobody's there. So I've already had 2 no-shows, 2 no-sales, and 2 cancellations. And I get a call for my 5th appointment calling to cancel. And I'm like, are you serious? Right? But playing always beats what? So I can't give up. It's easy to give up, right? It's easy to say it's not my day. But playing always beats sitting on the bench. So I knew this last demo was getting bigger. And I got in my car, and I decided to respond well, and I jammed for an hour and a half. And guess how many appointments I booked up? -1. I had a cancellation. Yeah, fired up, right? But I went to my last demo because playing always beats what? I did the most fired up demo I could. I told her everything I knew about Cutco and why she should own it. And she bought $4,900. I promise you, if you don't give up and you remember that playing always beats sitting on the bench, you'll have one of those moments this summer. So, when you think you're going to break down, Tony Robbins always says you're really about to break through. Next time that you feel like the whole world's on your shoulders, everything's going wrong, everything's not going right, your goals are way out of sight, when you're about to break down, you're really about to break through. And it's all determined between your 2 ears. See, if everyone would take their left hand and stick it like this on your head, take your right hand, stick it like this and slide your hands forward and look. That's the gap on your page. It's between your 2 ears. It's found in that 80% of psychology that makes the difference between good and great and outstanding. See, this summer, we're all going to be presented with a moment where we want to break down. Whether your goals are small, your goals are big, you're going to get challenges. You're going to have moments where all you want to do is go home, curl up in your bed, and go to sleep till it's over. Who's ever had that kind of moment? Raise your hand. Everyone. But you'll also realize when that happens that what you're really being presented with is an opportunity to break through. An opportunity to take your challenge and see the opportunity and seize it, right? It's an opportunity to break through. And what will really make the difference for you is how you view yourself, how you view your time, and how you view your challenges. And so I want to leave you with one thought, because I'll be honest, I've been to RDCs that I came here and made a huge breakthrough and completely transformed. And I've been to other RDCs where I came to see my friends and I left as the same guy, right? You came all the way here. Don't leave this conference without letting it change you. Don't leave this conference without letting it change you. Here's how. Play full out. Take more notes. Don't sit in the back. Don't walk around in the hallway. Write notes on something you didn't think mattered. Sit in a talk you didn't want to listen to. Listen to someone you didn't think you'd learn from. But don't leave this event without letting it change you. Because I promise you, if you realize that breakthroughs happen when you let them, and you sit in those chairs, and instead of letting this go in at one ear and out the other, you just let the words resonate. Breakthroughs happen when you let them. It's been an honor to spend the time with you guys, and I really hope that nobody in here leaves this event without letting it change them. Thank you very much.